legacy.
Bedridden and powerless, my father struggled to speak. This was a man who could ace 50 push-ups at the age 77, and now he could barely hold himself up. He was in so much pain that he could not describe it, and I was unable to fathom it. Dad, what do you think should be the message for this book?
We come from one, and we will return to one.
The depth of his emotions felt like a torrid storm. It had been brewing for some time, and it needed resolution. I had a confession to make, and I wanted him to know everything. Dad, remember I had shared with you in the past about the numerous supernatural experiences, encounters, and revelations that I received?
Yes, you told me your beliefs had changed. It is fine. After all, we are one. God never intended to divide us. Humanity did.
That was just what I needed to hear. From then on, other than his loving nature, I fondly remembered his words, "We are one." And even before that, when he was healthy and strong, that was his firm belief.
In your writings, avoid the word race. These racial labels have caused society enough trouble as it is.
Each time the topic of racial segregation and division would come up, his face would well up with tearful emotions. I always wondered why. There were some things he always kept to himself. My father passed on the 15th January 2020. He was a strong advocate for unity. He was also a lover of nature. His earthly trade was that of a carpet connoisseur, yet his heavenly task was unity within humanity and with planet Earth. Since he left the earthly realm, I knew his legacy would carry forward through me and with all who were connected with me. His truth on unity has been a virtually unending, elusive pursuit for humanity. The divisiveness through our obsession with labels is destroying the impeccable beauty of our natural diversity. The Black Lives Matter movement, sparked by the 25th May 2020 incident.
In Minneapolis tonight, tensions are high as 4 police officers have been fired after a man was pinned to the ground.
Highly coveted media coverage of the killing of George Floyd in police custody, along with the related protests, have brought a new wave of attention to the issue of inequality within criminal justice. It also brought to question whether Black Lives Matter was true or cleverly conjured by a clandestine body to create more disunity than we have in the world today.
Sultan Johor Sultan Ibrahim Sultan Iskandar bertitah agar perbincangan segera.
Then there was the closer to home Malaysia's Sultan of Johor reminder to all state representatives as the virus of COVID-19 spread the whole world. With global disunity between social structures and cultural differences, while the game of untruth plays in the background, some claimed that the worst was yet to come for the developing world. And we see the greatest division within the United States itself. At the same time, the 2020 Belarusian protests stretched over 4 months with tens of thousands in gathering. Worldwide government guidelines on social distancing although very much needed to protect against the virus, exacerbated the issue further. Titles of economic status, titles of privilege, religious titles add layers of disunity that can be unforgiving at times. If my father was still alive, his tears would have streamed down with disappointment. We tend to define ourselves with titles all the time. They get us through life, for the most part, more effectively than if we operated without them. But as we get comfortable relying on them, we forget that their utility is in what they accomplish and not what they represent. They are valuable, yes, but what they represent is an approximation, occasionally wrong and often problematic.
Iran and its actions overnight launching a ballistic missile attack on air
My
bases
brother was
housing
with
US
me by the
forces in
hospital
Iraq.
bed with my
The
late
Pentagon says
father.
at least 2 sites
The sound of the
were hit
BBC
in
radio
Erbil
station
and
was playing in the
Al-Assad, west of
background.
Baghdad.
The
He
quaint
says the missiles were
AM/FM
launched
radio
from
my brother
Iran
bought for
itself.
my father to keep him
Iranian
up to
state
date
television
with
says
the
the
news
attack was
developments of the
launched
world,
in revenge
while
for
he
the US
spent his last
assassination
days
of the
in
Iranian
palliative care
general
at the
Qasem
hospital.
Soleimani. The
The
White House
radio
says
broke the
President
monotony
Trump
as it
has been
blasted
briefed and is
frantic and
monitoring
repeated
events,
news
and the
announcements of
Kremlin
the
has the
potential
latest.
Iranian attack on the United States. A retaliation that was so predictive yet so frightening at the same time. What would happen next, if it did, was unthinkable. Raised with the family trade of rare and antique Persian carpets, my siblings and I were well versed with the age-old fact about the American embargo on Iran that has been going on for decades. Ironically, back in 2012, Christopher Connel wrote in The Atlantic that a 2009 World Public Opinion poll found that 51% of Iranians hold a favorable opinion of Americans. This means that Americans are more widely liked in Iran than anywhere else in the Middle East. When will the issues of religion, race, and gender end? An unenlightened humanity is clearly disruptive. If there were a hypothetical wheel of unity to symbolize the state of affairs, with the multicolors to represent race, religion, family business, and more, it would be tearing up from all sides, while an enlightened one is cohesive in every approach, creating wonders abound, with the vibrant colors becoming white as they become one. Living in Singapore, which is considered one of the most tolerant countries in the world, my occasional grievances from life's experiences were microscopic. However, when you read the stories of minorities, the suppressed, the underdogs, you will notice many similarities to the never-ending and replicating fractals. Humanity has a perplexing welter of beliefs, lifestyles, and mindsets. Add ego to the equation and you start carving out a cliff-hanging calamity. The times of great divisiveness stretches forth like an ominous road to the unknown. But once you reach the end of the road where the cliff hangs, creating a dizzying spell spinning some of us out of control, anything can happen.
Divine revelation came to all people, all nations.
My late father's repeated proclamation, which was a stark contrast to the dark observation of a great divisiveness. In the later part of 2017, the concept of a book series had just come about. Stories of a unifying truth from across the world that would be a mind collective with a promise of cohesive enlightenment. His words of wisdom is a fond recollection.
The book will bring heart and mind together. It will catch the attention of people at all levels. It will unite them, and it will remind them to return to basic truth. carry the legacy.
Carry the legacy. Like a whispering voice in the wind. What are your thoughts of an initiative that would recognize and reward writers of truth and integrity? Do you think it will be well received in the world right now?
It's too clean for this world. But do it anyway.
Too clean for this world, but do it anyway. I recall that heart-wrenching moment vividly, fluctuating between life and death. He cringed lifelessly on the hospital bed as he struggled to speak. This occurred just 6 weeks before COVID-19 was declared by the World Health Organization to be a global pandemic. Since then, we have seen nations pull down into a global lockdown, an unprecedented event with catastrophic effects. At that time, I really wanted to seek his advice about a truth creation initiative. He was receiving divine guidance from God to be passed on. He was in transition, a delicate tendril between life and the afterlife. Being present as a witness to this phenomenal event was an eye-opening experience. Souls in that stage see beyond the limiting boundaries and labels that we as humans place on ourselves and on others. They see with greater clarity. They sense what is happening beyond the surface. They have a knowing as the dying, because the phase is similar to being born. The soul is very intricately linked to the Creator. It was the best advice ever. Do it anyway. Embrace the discomfort and the obstacles you may face along the path of the bold. In reality, life's comfort zones lead us astray. We become so accustomed to talking rather than to do the work required. So not only do we never observe the space that we need to observe to see the truth, but we don't even give ourselves the chance to create it to begin with. I began to see the big picture more clearly. It is time to truly embody our written truth by picking up the courage to act on it. In that way, we become who we are and not simply say or write what we are. This is a world of show and tell. It needs to be shifted to a world of be and become, in line with the truth within us. And with that awareness to move forward with an acceleration, starting from one of the pivotal helms of the century, the year 2020.